Hello, hello. Welcome to the session on the Python. I am Parag Sorode, Assistant Professor at Vidyavardhani College of Engineering. In today's session, we will discuss about Python installation and the introduction about the Python. So let's proceed. Today's outline of the presentation will be what is Python, why we have to use Python, what are the different various versions of the Python, and which one we are using, and what are the differences between those various versions. Then we will also study how to install the Python. Then we will study some of the basics related with the Python. Okay. So should we proceed? Yeah, we will proceed. So let's go to the origin of the Python. So Python was conceived in the late 1980s by Guido von Rossum at Centrum Visconti Informatica. It is a place in Netherlands, and it was devised as a successor to the ABC language, which was inspired by the corporation STEL. Now it is capable of exceptional handling and interfacing with the Amoeba operating system. As far as operating systems are concerned, you might be knowing only the Windows, some might be knowing about the Linux, some also might be knowing about the Ubuntu or Mac OS. But there was one operating system called as Amoeba, and Python implemented since December 1989, and the Python project is shouldered by Van Rossum till 12 July 2018. After that, he retired from the project. But still, the developments are going on in the Python. Now, what is a Python? So, first, Python is what? It is an interpreted, interactive, and object-oriented programming language. Now, let us go step by step. What do you mean by interpreted? Now, interpreted means it is a language whose most of the implications, that is a code, execute instructions directly and freely without compiling the program into the machine language instruction. Now, what is the meaning of this? Now, whatever the code we write down in the Python, no need to compile those codes for transferring that code into the machine language instruction. So that can be run directly by using the interpreter, which is called as. So interpreter, what it does, it directly executes the instructions which are written. Now let's see what do you mean by interactive. Interactive means there are two different modes in which the Python we can run. One which is called as a script mode, and another is called as a interactive mode. So what is the interactive mode? It is a command line shell which gives immediate feedback for each statement while running previously fed statement active in memory. So for this, I will show you an example. So I have kept running the Python shell. So this is called as a Python shell. So if I write down something, suppose a is equals to 1, just observe, I will explain you what do you mean by this. So once I do a is equals to 1, that is 1 assigned to a variable a, and if I do the print a, look at what do we get? Output we get it as 1. So previous line command, that is a equals to 1, was already active whenever I executed the another command, that is print a, which also gives an output of 1. Now let's proceed. Now, what do you mean by the word object oriented programming language? So you already studied that C++ is an object oriented programming language in which the different objects are made, right? Now let's proceed. It incorporates modules, exceptions, dynamic typing, and very high level dynamic data types and classes. Now let's go step by step. What is the meaning of modules? So whatever the code which is written in a simple Python file is called as a module. So each Python file contains some code, and it is saved as a extension with a .py. So just like in a C, whenever we save the C program, the extension will be .c, or whenever we save a Word program, the extension will be .docx or .doc, depending upon the version which we are using, right? So similarly, what is a module? It is a simple Python file with an extension .py, right? We will be studying with the exceptions later on. First of all, study what is the meaning of dynamic typing. So Python is dynamically typed language. So what is the meaning of dynamically typed language? First, I will explain and I will also show you the hand-on. It doesn't know about the type of variable until the code is run. Let's see. So declaration is of no use. What I told you, it does not know the type of variable until the code is run. Let's look at the example. In the example written here, what I done, one is assigned to a, right? And print a. So this a doesn't know what type of data is going fed to that a. So for the same variable a, I can also write it down like this. Look at this. Now the Python is a word which is assigned to a variable a, and now let's print this word. See, so the word which is now assigned to a word a is Python, right? So what is the meaning of dynamically typing? As long as the no assignment is done to the variable, Python doesn't know what type of what type of data type the a can hold. Are you getting? Okay, so let's proceed. It also supports multiple programming paradigms beyond object oriented programming, right? So it is able to support the different types of programming types, such as it also support object oriented programming just like C++ or the Java. It also support the procedural type such as a C, as well as it also support the functional programming. That is, we can write down the different function and access the data with the different functions, right? And what is the last? Python combines remarkable power with very clear syntax. Now again go back to the example here. Now what do you mean by the very clear syntax? See, whenever I return a is equals to Python, it is not needed that each line of code should end with a semicolon. It doesn't matter. Even if we write down the semicolon or if we write without a semicolon, it will work. See, right? The same statement which is written here, I have executed with a is equals to 1 with the semicolon at the end, and the same statement print a is executed here without a semicolon. So it is very much clear syntax is available in the Python. Now let's proceed. So it has interfaces to many system calls and libraries, as well as to various Windows system. So it can be accessible by the different Windows types. It is also extensible in C or C++. That is, you can use the code which is written in the Python with some suitable small modifications. It can be used in C, or you can use the C code and that can be executed in the Python. That is called as an extension, right? So the code you can write down in a Python that can be worked in a C, and the code which is written in a C can be executed in a Python. So that's why it is extensible, and Python is portable. So it runs on the many Unix variants, including Linux, Mac OS, and Windows. That's why it is called as a portable. Now, why we have to use Python? Because first, it is freely available for download. Python is a high-level general-purpose programming language that can be applied to many different classes of problems. Now, what do you mean by the high-level general-purpose programming language? Most of the statements that we write down in Python are English-like statements. Just now we have seen there's print. We generally use. I wanted to print some document. So what is the word I use? Print. So print is very similar to the English language statement, and some other words such as and, or, in are nothing but the English like statement that are very commonly used in Python. Now the language comes with a very large standard library that covers string processing. String means you already studied in C, that is string is a character array that is combining the different types of characters. So what do you mean by character process string processing? Regular expressions. It also supports the Unicode. So Unicode allows the different symbols which might be written in the different languages, right? Which is not a part of the A to Z caps lock or small letters. Then it also able to differentiate between the files. It also support the different internet protocols such as hypertext transfer protocol or the file transfer protocol, right? It also enables software engineering such as it allows us unit testing, logging, profiling. Then we can use the parsing of the Python code. Parsing means execution. We will be studying this later on. What do you mean by the parsing? Then it also interact with the system in in terms of system calls, file system, the transmission control protocols or the internet protocols. That is, you can use the Python script or the Python program very easily on the internet for transferring the data files, or you can make it executable, and it will work very well with the use of the internet data transfer. Now let's go to the different types of versions of the Python. Now as you can see here, Python versions are numbered as A dot, B dot, C dot, or A dot B. Now let's go to the what do you mean by A dot, B dot, C? First go to the letter A. A is the major version number. It is only incremented for really major change in the language, such as what are the current changes that has been occurred in the Python, such as 1.x, 2.x, and the 3.x. These are the major changes in the Python versions that have been occurred till date. Now, whenever we add another letter such as A.B, so A.B is what? So B is the minor version number incremented for less earth shattering changes. That is in the major version, such as I have written an example here 2.7, 3.4, 3.8. Now let's go to the Python file which I am using. What I'm using here, you can see Python 3.4.0. So I have used Python 3.4.0 for recording this, right? Again, going back. Now let's go ahead. Now what is the third letter indicates? A dot, B dot, C. So C is the micro level. It is incremented for each bug fix release, such as a version number maybe 3.4.3 or 3.8.3. So it is very similar to an example such as we have a Windows 98 as a ancestral language, no, ancestral operating system which don't nobody uses now. Some older laptops or desktop may be using Windows XP. Most of the uh, laptops may be with the Windows 7, right? And the latest laptops which are pre-installed with the Windows 10. So these are what? These are the different systems which we can compare with the A. That is major version number. So 98, XP, Vista, 7 are nothing but what? Major numbers, right? And then you can have the releases such as uh, suppose you wanted to install a latest version of the Python 3.8.3, then you require Windows 7.1, Windows 7.1 minimum 32-bit, right? If you wanted to install the latest Python version, you need to have the Windows 7.1. Okay. Now let's go ahead. Hope you understood with the basic versions. What are the major versions? 1x, 2x, and 3x. What are the minor version? 2.7, 3.4, 3.8. And what are the small releases in each version? 3.4.3 example is 3.8.3. Let's go ahead. Now, when these versions were released, Python 1.0 was released in 1994, and it included with the different filters, map, reduce and lambda. These are the different features of the Python 1.0 releases. We will be discussing these different versions in detail later on. That is what you mean by the filters, map, reduce and lambda. Then a second major release of Python 2.0 was released in October 2000, which features include list comprehension and garbage collection with reference cycles. We will be studying about the what do you mean by the list later on in this course. Then the next major version that has been released is Python 3.0, which was released in December 2008, and which removed the duplicate constructs and the modules. Now, just now I have told you what do you mean by the module. Module is a simple Python file which has an extension .py, right? Every Python file has to be saved with the extension .py. Sorry. So what is the currently most stable release? The currently most stable release is 3.8.3, which was released on 13 May 2020. Now, Python 3.8 supports Windows Vista and newer versions. If you have a earlier version of the Windows such as XP or 98 or so on, you cannot install the Python 3.8. Now, if you have the Windows XP, then you have to install 3.4. The later versions are not supported on the Windows XP. Now, let's see how to install the Python. So there are two different installers available for the 32-bit versions and the 64-bit versions. What are these installers versions? One which is a web installer and another is a complete zip file. Let's see. I will show you how to download. Go to the Google Chrome, type. Now I will suggest you to download, but it is not mandatory to download the Python for completing this course. Those who have laptop or desktop and with the internet connectivity, they can download. Download Python 3.8.3 series. www.python.org. In the download versions, you can see here. Now once you go here, look at the statement written here. Download the latest version for Windows. Now if you have some another type of operating system, so you can looking for a Python with a different OS, Python for Windows, you can click here and you will go to the list of the different available versions. Okay, look at here a statement which is written here. Note that Python 3.8.3 cannot be used on Windows XP or earlier. What is the stable releases? What is the latest release? Python 3.8.3. So if you have the access laptop, you can install. But I will suggest you to download, but it is not mandatory that you should download this Python for the completing this course. Okay. Let's proceed. Now let's go proceed to the basics of the Python. Now we already know that in English we use a hello to greet someone. That is whenever we dial someone with a phone call, what is the first word we say? Hello, right? Let's see how we can write down the hello in a Python. What I have written here, print hello. So whenever I write down the hello inside the parenthesis, look at the parenthesis. These are the round, and in the double inverted quotes, I have written the word hello. At the end of the hello, I have written the exclamation mark. So what does the Python gives as an output? It gives the output as a hello with a exclamation mark, right? So in this way, we can write down the hello in the Python. Very simple, right? Now Python program life cycle. So Python can be used in the two different modes, right? So one which I have shown here is a Python shell, right? And another type of mode which is available in the Python is called as a interactive mode and shell mode, right? Look at this. This is an interactive mode which I have shown you. Say this is a Python shell, right? So whatever the command which I have written here will be executed immediately, right? And how to go in a different mode, that is other mode, that is or the normal or the script mode. Just go in a Python, click on the file, go to the new file. Now look at the differences between the two. What is the difference between the two? You see in this shell mode, you see this greater sign, right? This greater than sign three times you appear, right? Whereas in the normal mode or the scripting mode, you don't see anything, right? Correct. So this is the two different ways in which we can execute a Python. And how to get this? From the shell mode, go to the file. First I will have to close this. Go to the file, click on the new. Once you click on the new, normal mode or the script mode is activated, right? And whatever this mode which is shown here is called as a Python shell, in which the statements are executed step immediately, right? By keeping the previous command as active. And how you can save the Python source code? We can save a Python source code just like this, calculator.py. Look at this. I will open a new file. I write down here print hello. Okay. Then I save this. Before before the run operation, I will have to save this. I will save it as suppose hello. Then if I run this, after running, what it will do? It will run the command which is executed. Okay. So Python allows us to have the uh, previous command to get executed immediately, right? But before that, somebody has a question. Can't we run a Python using a Jupyter notebook? Yes, you can run a Python using a Jupyter notebook. Yes. Wait for a minute. Sir, another comment. What is the command to run Python file in Ubuntu terminal? So for running the Python file in Ubuntu terminal, we have to use the same. That is, you have to execute a, a run command which is available there. That much convergent with the Ubuntu, but as the Python is portable, there are no differences in the different types of versions which are available. Any other command? Okay, no comments. We will proceed. Now, what are the different types of errors in the Python? Now, the types of errors in the Python are: first is a syntax error, and another type of error is called as runtime error. Now, what do you mean by the syntax error? Look at the statement here. Syntax errors are like grammatical errors in English. They occur when the defined rules are not allowed, such as look at the statement followed by the three signs of the greater than, PRIN. In the parenthesis, I have written hello world, right? Now, what is there? Once I execute this in a interactive mode, it will show an error. What is the error? Trace back most recent call last file. I am using the Python shell here. So what is the line executed? Line 1 is executed, and in module, that is a file which is open. What is the error? Name error. Name PRIN is not defined, right? So PRIN is not a defined letter in the Python. What is the keyword available in the Python is? Keyword available in the Python is print, right? And once we are using here PRIN, it says that it's a syntax error. Okay, let's proceed. You can see here, I executed this command PRIN hello world. I have executed in the Python shell, and it shows the error that name PRIN is not defined. Okay, can we proceed? Any doubt over this? Now, what is another type? Another type is runtime error. Now, runtime error occurs due to incorrect algorithm or logic or wrong operations like divide by zero. Runtime means whenever we are executing the command, right? And output we get after the execution, at that time if the error occurs, that is called as a runtime error. What is the syntax error? Whenever we are writing the code, and if there is any error in the code while writing, that is called as a syntax error, right? Now, what is the runtime error that we see here? Let's declare a variable a with an assignment of 10 to the a, then 0 is assigned to the b, and let's, if we divide the a by b, that is 10 is divided by the 0, right? As you already know that anything divided by the 0, it is infinity or it does not exist. So let's see what is the error which the Python shows. Python shows traceback most recent call last. It shows zero division error, that is division by zero. So Python is so interactive that it shows what type of error you have encountered. Just like in the previous syntax error, Python has shown that Python has shown that PRIN is not a defined statement, right? And now whenever we are try to divide it by zero, it shows that division by zero cannot be done, right? Now let's proceed. So the Python interpreter generates the following runtime error indicating that division by zero occurred during the execution. This is a type of runtime error. Okay, let's proceed. Now the next topic is inserting the comments in Python, right? So we will be studying about what are the different types of comments in Python, what are the different uses of these comments, right? So in Python program is usually composed of the multiple statements, right? A Python program is usually composed of multiple statements. Each statement is composed of one or more of the combination of the following. Now what the Python will include? Python includes comments, Python include white space characters, and the Python include tokens. Token means the set of words, right? Which are valid in the Python. Okay. Now let's go ahead. Now how to insert the comments in Python? Comments are mainly used for the two purposes, right? What is the purpose of the comments? To mark a section of a source code as non-executable so that Python interpreter ignore it, right? What? To mark a section of a source code as non-executable so that Python interpreter ignores it. Correct. So to provide, second is to provide remarks or an explanation on the working of the given section of code in plain English so that a fellow programmer can read the comments and understand the code. What is the another purpose of the comments? Another purpose of the comment is whenever we are writing any code, what is the purpose of that code? What does that code does? That can be understood by the another programmer if the original programmer has inserted the comments so that it does not have to execute the program for understanding what does that program does. So that is the purpose of the inserting the comments, right? Now, how we can insert the comments in a Python? In Python, there are two types of comments. One is called as a single line comment and another is called as a docstring. Now, single line comment, it starts with a hash, also known as pound character, right? And the content following the hash till the end of that line is a comment. Okay. So if you wanted to insert a comment in a Python, right, single line comment in a Python, what you will do? You will insert a hash statement. Okay. Till the end of the line, the whole code will not get executed. Okay. Now what is the next? Next type of comment is called as a docstring. So contains enclosed between the triple quotes, either single triple quotes or double triple quotes is called as a docstring. Sorry. I will show you an example of this. Let's proceed. Now look at the example here. Inserting the comments in Python. Look at the first statement. Hash. This is a commented line, right? So how does the comments in Python are indicated? Comments in Python are indicated with a red color. So whenever we write down a hash followed by anything, so that will be indicated in a red color by the Python. Okay. Now the next I have written a word as mountain 1 equals to Satpura. What is that? And ahead of that hash is written, and ahead of hash a comment can follow after a line of code. So what does that mean? A comment can be after the line of code, right? Correct. So if the comment is written after the line of code, it indicates that what does the statement, what is the code that which is written before the comment can does. That is, a comment after the word can explain about the code, right? I have written here ahead hash hash above one is called as an inline comment, right? So as the comment is inserted after the code, right, it is also called as a inline comment. Now look at the second example. Hash mountain 2 equals to Sayadri. Now look at this. This line of code is commented, right? As the hash is written initially, what does that mean? This is a commented line, right? And as this is the commented line, correct? It will not get executed, correct? Because the Python interpreter will understand it as a comment. It will not execute this as the word starts hash initially. Okay. What is the next? Next variable I have written here is mountain 3 equals to, under the double inverted quotes, I have written here Himalaya hash tallest. The hash character here is a part of a string, right? So whenever the hash is a part of a string, it is not considered as a comment, but it will be considered as a part of the code. So whenever the Python encounters like this, it will display the characters inside the whole inverted commas, right? I will show you it like this later. Now, what are the different characteristics of the comments in Python? What is the first characteristics? The hash character must be specified hash character must be specified. Wait for a minute. Hash character must be specified at the beginning of a comment line. So whenever we are writing the comment, it should be at the beginning of a comment line. Okay. So what does that mean? I will show an example of this. What is the next is Python style guide suggests that each line of block comment starts with a hash and a single space. I will also explain this. I will show you with the help of the opening the Python program. Any doubt over the previous sections that we have studied? Okay. So, and another is this what I have shown you just now, that here the hash is written in between the two words Himalaya and tallest. So the hash is here is the part of a string, right? So it is not considered as a comment, right? Correct. So what is the characteristics? Just now I have told you the hash character must be specified at the beginning of a comment line, and the Python style guide suggests that each line of a block comment starts with a hash, and after that hash there should be a single space, right? So comments do not nest. What does that mean? Meaning hash has a no special meaning inside a comment line which starts with a hash. The meaning of that, a hash followed by a hash does not have any special meaning, right? So hash followed by a hash simply means that it's a comment. Now one cannot write comments inside a string literals which are enclosed between the single quotes or the double quotes. What does that mean? So whatever the string statements we write down in a Python are with the single quotes or the double quotes. The hash character written inside the string is considered as a part of the string. Look at the previous statement. See here, the last statement here, mountain 3 is assigned with a variable Himalaya hash tallest. So here hash is in between the two words Himalaya and tallest. So the hash here is not a comment. It is the part of a string. Okay. Somebody has said I didn't I did not understood what is the meaning of no sir. Aditya is saying. Okay, you can personally contact me later. Now, what are the different characteristics of comments in Python? In a comment, anything written after hash in a particular line is ignored by the interpreter, meaning it does not form a part of a executable code in a program. Right? Look at this. I will show you an example based on this. Look at here. Hash Himalaya is a tallest mountain. Now, if I press the enter button after it, what it will do? Python shell will execute that command, right? What is the output I get? I get the output as nothing because hash Himalaya is a tallest mountain is nothing but a comment. Now, suppose I declared is as a variable like this, mountain is equals to Himalaya. I write down the hash now in between and I write down the word as tallest, right? Now if I try to print it, look at the output I get. Whenever I try to print mountain, right? Now look at the assignment to the word mountain. Himalaya has tallest. Now whatever is written between this double inverted quotes is printed by the Python. Okay. So this hash doesn't have any meaning whenever it is inserted between the string. Okay. Let's go ahead. Now look at this code. Area is equals to length into the breadth, right? So ahead of that, it is written hash area of rectangle. So a comment can be inserted in a line of code followed by the code once the code ends and explain what is that code is doing, right? If I write down the here area is equals to length into the breadth, right? Let us know to the programmer that it is showing the area of a rectangle. It is called as a single line comment. Now let us proceed to the doc string. Now it is a very particular type of comment which is available in Python. So Python provides a way to specify documentation comments which is called as a doc string. Doc string is a string literal. That is a simplest text written in English which is provided in the source code to document what a particular segment of code does. So it tells us what what is the particular type of code is doing, right? Let's see example here. Suppose mul is a fun function. We will be discussing a function later on in this same course. Let's mul a comma b is a function defined. So it's a user defined function. It starts with a def. What is next? Hash. Comment can be done before a doc string. Now what is a doc string here? See, these are the triple inverted quotes. Now this triple inverted code explains or gives the information about what is this particular function is used for. This particular function mul a comma b. Look at the syntax here. After the function declaration, a colon is written. This is the syntax which the Python follows. Now, this is a one particular type of a comment which is written in the Python. Triple inverted quotes returns the multiplication of the given arguments. Right? It starts with the triple inverted quotes. It ends with the triple inverted quotes, followed by what is the statement written? Statement written here is return, that is return a star b. That is, this is used for multiplying the two arguments a and b. In the above code statement segment, what is the docstring use? The above code segment returns the multiplication of the given argument is the docstring. I will show you with an output. Show you in the example here. Now, first understand what is the use of the docstring. Docstrings are usually provided for Python objects like modules, functions, classes, members, and method definitions. We will be discussing about this later on. What do you mean by the modules? A simple Python file which is saved with an extension .py is called as a module. Just now we have seen how to declare a function. There are some inbuilt functions and there are some user defined functions, right? We can declare the classes, we can declare the different members, and docstrings allows us to have the use along with these available objects. So Python allows the use of both triple double quotes and single triple quotes or triple single quotes to create docstring. However, the Python coding conventions are are that we have to use a triple double quotes. That is, in the previous example here, what is the type of comment used here is triple double quotes, right? Although the Python supports triple single quotes also. Sorry. What is the purpose of this docstring? The main purpose of the docstring in Python is to provide a information on what a particular Python object does, not how it does. The use of the docstring here is to get the information about what does that the particular type of code is doing. It does not explains about how it doing, right? Now, according to the Python coding convention, docstring should always begin with a capital letter, right? Now, how you can say that I have used a capital word here? Look at here. Here, the docstring started with a capital letter. Although I have, and it should end with a period or a dot. Although I have not used the dot, but it's a convention. It is not a rule, right? So even if you are using a small letter for starting a docstring, it will work. The docstring, if present, must be the first non-comment statement in a module, right? If the docstring is used in a module, function, or class, it should be the first non-comment statement, right? So here, what do you mean by the non-comment statement? So this is the first non-comment statement. Although you can use the comments before that, but this is the first non-comment statement after the comment. Only then the Python interpreter will read and initialize it as a special attribute with the these are the double underscore doc. So how does the Python interpreter interprets the docstring? Python interpreter interprets the docstring as, or it assigns the special attributes or the special value to that particular docstring doc double underscore dot. So this special attribute double underscore doc double underscore of that object will be available to the code or the interactive Python shell help system or to the third party software tools for the extraction. This you will understand with the help of an example ahead. Now there are two different types of docstrings in the Python. They are one line docstring, which provides an information about what an object in the Python does in a single line, right? You can have the two types of the docstring, one line docstring or the multi-line docstring. And multi-line docstring provides information about what an object in a Python does in multiple lines. Now let's see an example of a one line docstring. Define, same example I am taking, define mul a comma b in a comma b are written in the parenthesis. Ahead is the colon. Now here is the docstring written, returns the multiplication of the given arguments, return a star b. So this is a one line docstring. Okay. Now let's see an example of the multi-line docstring. Suppose one LCM of the two numbers a comma b. So I have written def. Def is a keyword. We will be understanding the keyword later on. LCM is a function declared. A comma B in parenthesis. Ahead is the colon. Now, what is the return here? Return LCM of the given arguments, right? Now, after this statement, I have not ended the triple double quotes, right? Followed is on the next line is with a single space. Next line is A is the first number. On the next line, I have written B is the second number. On the next line, I have closed the triple double quotes. Now let's see how does the Python does it in the actually. Okay. Let's we define a comma B. Okay. Then I'm using here as hash. Sorry, hash. This is a comment. Okay. Then on the next line, I'm using a docstring. This code is using multiplication of two numbers. Okay. Okay. On the next line, I am writing return A star B. Okay. So in this way, I have declared the function mul a comma b. Now, as I am using the Python shell, this code will not run. For you to run this code, you will have to use the scripting mode. So first, I will show you how to use that in the scripting mode. I have copied this code. I have opened a new file using a new line, right? Then look at this. First, I have to save this. I am saving with a extension of multiply mu.py. Then I am running this code. After running, let's see what it shows. It shows nothing. Why it shows nothing? Because I have not uh, asked the Python to do any operation. I have just written the what the code does, right? That's why it shows nothing. I will explain you later how to get the code in this case, right? Now, first understand the meaning of this docstring. Why the docstring are used? Docstring are used to get the understanding about the what the code does, not how it does. So let's go ahead. I will show you how to use the docstring in multiple lines. The same, I will create a new file. I will use the same LCM a comma b, right? I will use returns the LCM of arguments a and b. A first argument, B second argument, right? And here I will end. Okay. And then I will write down here as return A AB. Whatever. I can write down a return AB here. What is it? Depending upon the operation that I want. Okay. So this is the example of the multi-line comment in the docstring in the Python. Okay. Now what is the syntax? Syntax for extracting a docstring in the scripting mode. Now this is the syntax: print object underscore name dot double underscore doc double underscore. The docstring of any object can be extracted using a double underscore doc double underscore attribute on that object as shown below. Again, go back to the same example. Suppose I have declared here as def division a comma b colon. This function is suppose used for returns the division of the arguments. Now I have written here as return a by b, and I wanted to print. Now what I wanted to print, what is this function defined for? This function is defined for what? Division of the argument, right? So what is the output once I write down the statement as print division dot double underscore doc double underscore? So output of the code is returns the division of the arguments. So what is the use of the docstring here is it shows the comment which is already inside the code, right? It is not showing what is that particular function, how it does, but it shows whatever is there inside the comment. Let's say an example is Python. And if I write down here as print LCM dot double underscore doc double underscore, right? I have to save this first, right? I will press put it as LCM. By default, the extension will be .py. If I run this, what it shows? Returns the LCM of arguments A and B. A is the first argument and B is the second argument. Now compare with what I have written. What is the code I have written? DEF LCM A comma B, and this is the docstring syntax I have used, right? Returns the LCM of arguments A and B. A is the first argument, B is the second argument, and docstring ends with the double triple quotes, and the followed statement is return A star B. And what I have used? Print LCM dot double underscore doc double underscore parenthesis is closed. So docstring allows us to display the comments, right, which are inside the any function. Okay, so this is the use of the special type of comments which is available in the Python. Now let's take another example ahead. Yes, some of the people are saying whether I can send you the PPT. Yes, I will share you the PPT. Now, take another example of the docstring. If an object doesn't have a docstring, then the object underscore doc results in none, right? Sorry, none is a reserved keyword in Python. We will be studying about the keywords ahead. Now, what is the use of the keyword none? It defines a null value or no value at all. Look at example here. def div, div is a function declared a comma b, then followed by the colon, returns a by b. Now if I try to print div dot double underscore doc double underscore, what it will show? None, because I have not used the docstring here, right? Let's see an example on this. Same example I am taking. I'm deleting the docstring used here. Again, I will have to save the program because Python, I will let you run this without saving. What is asked? Source must be saved. Okay to save. Okay. So I have saved this. After saving, what is the output it shows? None. Why the output is shown none? Because docstring is not available in this declared function. So what is the purpose of the docstring? The purpose of the docstring is to have the display of the comments which are written in the program. And what is the purpose of these comments? The purpose of these comments, let the programmer know what is comments do or what is program do. Okay. Okay, so let's proceed. Now we will study about now we will study about the identifiers and now understand Python is a case sensitive language, meaning if you're written the identifier NAME and the NAME are the two different things. Let's see an example on this. I will open a new file. Suppose here I am declaring name is equals to Himalaya. Now, as I said you earlier that writing a semicolon at the end of the code is optional. I am skipping this. Now, name is equals to Sayadri. These are the two mountain names I use. Now let's print these two. First, I will use the name, first name, which is capitalized first N, and the second I am using is second. Okay. As a convention, before running the Python script, I have to save it. Right. I'm saving it. See the change in the name.py. Right. Okay. Now I will run this. Look at the output. What is the output now? Output is first is Himalaya and the second is Sayadri in the same sequence in which I have declared, right? First I have declared the capital NAME as Himalaya, small NAME as Sayadri. Okay, correct. So in the same sequence I will be getting an output. Same I have declared here. Now what are the rules for the identifiers, right? Rule for the identifiers is identifiers can be a combinations of the lowercase letters such as A to Z, uppercase letter capital A to capital Z, or digits 0 to 9, or an underscore. Look at the following examples here. My division is a valid identifier. Var underscore 9 is a valid identifier. Input underscore in is a valid identifier. Underscore name is a valid identifier because it starts with an underscore, right? Now, an identifier can start with an alphabet or an underscore, but not with a digit, right? So you cannot use a digit. You cannot use a digit at the start of the statement. Look at the example here. one underscore name is invalid, but name underscore one is valid, right? Now, keywords cannot be used as identifiers, right? What are the different keywords? Keywords means the statements which are already there in the Python, right? The keywords which are already there in the Python cannot be used. Okay. Now, what are the different available keywords in the Python? Such as if, and, while. These are all the available keywords in the Python, right? So these keywords you cannot use in the identifiers, correct? Now, what are the other keywords available in the Python? I will give you the list of the different keywords which are available. Any doubt over this? Okay, somebody has given a comment at zoom in, please. Okay. Now the keywords cannot be used as identifiers are DAF, and, not, in, while, if else, etc. These you cannot use as a identifiers because these are the keywords. Okay. Now you cannot use the special symbols like exclamation mark, at the rate, hash, dollar, percent, etc. as these are not allowed in identifiers. Only one special symbol underscore is allowed. So an example, dollar amount, comma, first under first hash name, comma, at the rate email ID are all invalid, right? As they violate the rules for identity. What is the only symbol that is allowed is underscore, right? Now, is there any length for identifier? Python allows the identifiers can be of any length. Okay, so you can use identifier of any length in Python. Now, what are the conventions? Different Python conventions are class name starts with an uppercase letter and all other identifiers starts with a lowercase letter. Whenever you declare any class, it name should start with the uppercase letter, although it's not a rule. So when if you write down that with a smaller letter, it will work. But as an indication or as a convention, class name should start with a uppercase letter and all other identifiers should start with the lowercase letters. Starting an identifier with a single leading underscore indicates that identifier is private. So you should use the identifier with a starting character as underscore whenever you wanted to declare the identifier as a private. Now there are different types of uh, identifiers such as a private, public, right? Which are the supported parts in the object-oriented structure. We will be discussing about this later on. What do you mean by the private variables? What do you mean by the public variables? Right? So setting an identifier with the two leading underscores indicates that the identifier is strongly private. Now this is a special type of identifier which is supported in Python. Double underscore at the start of the declaration of the variable. And if an identifier begins with a two leading underscore and also ends with a two trailing underscores, then it is indicating as a special name. For example, docstring become double underscore doc double underscore. It is a special type of attribute in the Python, which is called as a docstring, right? So it is a special character which is used in the identifiers for Python. It starts with double underscore at the start and also ends with a double underscore. Now, how many keywords the Python possess? Python 2 has 32 keywords, while Python 3.5 has 33 keywords. An extra keyword called non-local was added in the Python 3.5 version, and also Python 3.5 were introduced with the two another keywords async async and await as a context dependent keywords. We will discuss these keywords later, and they were released finally in the 3.7 version. Now the 3.7 version has how many keywords? 35, right? Correct. Following is the list of the keywords. You may not be able to see it. I will share you the PPT. But first, I will list down the some of the keywords. False. It starts with a capital letter. Remember here, false and the true are the keywords in the Python. But first letter should be the capital. Keyword is also here is a for, pass, raise, return, in, and finally class, def, L, else if, short form for else if is elif. Okay. Now Python provides a way to print the list of keywords in its current version. So you can list out the different keywords available in the current version. How to use that? For that, write down the statement as import keyword, right? And on the next line, write down print in the parenthesis, write down keyword.kw list. And once you run this code, it will list out what are the different available keywords in the current version of the Python. Now, if you are using the 2.7 version of the Python, then it will list out the how many keywords it will list out? It will list out the 32 keywords. If you are using the Python version of 3.5, right, it will list out the 33 keywords. And if you list out the keywords in the Python's latest version, that is the 3.7 or the 3.8, it will list out the whole list of the 35 keywords. Okay. Now it is also possible to check whether the given keyword is a whether the given word or used word in the Python is a keyword or not. So to check whether a given word is a Python keyword or not, we will use a built-in function as is keyword. The function returns a boolean value. Boolean value, if the given word is keyword, then it will return true as output. Otherwise, the returns false. Let's say take an example here. Import keyword is written followed by the comment import keyword we have written followed by the comment we have to import a keyword module, right? So this import keyword is used for explaining about what is the meaning of this word keyword. Then you can use the print keyword dot is keyword in bracket in parenthesis. What is the word used? In. Now you wanted to check whether the in is a valid keyword or not, and it will return the output as true because in is a valid keyword in the Python. So what is the statements we have written? First, write down the import keyword. On the next line, write down the print in bracket keyword dot is keyword in parenthesis. Whatever is the word that you wanted to check, put that in a single quotes, right? And run the code. So once the code is run, depending upon the whether that particular keyword is available or not, it will give the output as true or false. Now let's see uh, what are the different variables and assignments. We will be discuss about these variables and assignment later on, but just to have the basic introduction about it. In Python, a variable is a reserved memory location used to store values. For example, in the below code, name and city are the variables. We store their respective values. So suppose a name is assigned a value of Python and city is assigned a value of Vasai. Usually in programming language like C, C++, and Java, we need to declare the variables along with their types before using them, right? But in the Python, it allows us to have the dynamically typed language. What does that mean? It is not necessary to declare the variable, right? You can dynamically assign any data to the variable, right? So that's why it is called as a dynamically typed variable. So there is no need to declare the variable or declare their types before the usage, right? Look at the example. Python has no command for declaring a variable. In fact, Python has no command for declaring a variable. Variable is created the moment a value is assigned to it, right? The equal to operator is used to assign a value to a variable, right? Operators are special symbols used in programming language that represents a particular action. So what is the equal to? Equal to the assignment operator, right? So assignment operator is used to assign a particular value to a declared variable. Now the declared variable here means a variable without any type, right? I'm not using any type for this, correct? Now what is a good practice? As a good programming practice, we should use the meaningful names for the variables. For example, if we wanted to store the age of a person, right? We wanted to use the age of a person, then you should use preferably age as a variable instead of x, y, a or I as variable names, right? If you wanted to store the name of a person, so what will be the preferred variable name for that? It will be name, right? Python interpreter automatically determines the type of data based on the data assigned to it, right? So Python interpreter automatically determines the type of data based on the data assigned to it. What did that mean? So whenever the any assignment is done to the particular variable, Python able to know what type of the data it is. That's why it is not necessary to declare the variable at the start. For example, ahead, whenever we say Python does this or Python does that, it should be interpreted as Python interpreter. It should be interpreted as Python interpreter is doing the task. So whenever we are saying Python does this, Python does that, what does that mean? Python interpreter is doing the task. Okay, thank you. So I will end the today's presentation. But before the ending, you can uh, comment, or if you have any doubt, you can post your comments here. Okay. I will upload the assignments and the quizzes immediately after this, and I will also give you the time accordingly because we have started the late, right? And the time for submission will be also posted in the classroom. If you have any comment, you can post here or you can also comment in the classroom. I will answer your comments. Okay. So I think there is no comment from your side. So I will end the session. Stay tuned for the assignment which is there and a quiz. For the attendance, you will have to go to your respective classroom where the attendance link will be shown. Okay. Okay. Thank you. Bye.